Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lisa Elvin Stoltari, and this is Have Roots Will Travel. Over the last several years, I've been featuring Les Filles du Roi, and then a year and a half or so ago, I started doing Les Filles à Marier, which is what we're doing today. This is the marriageable girls, and we're going to get to know a lot of them. Today we're doing episode, I believe it's 71, and there are about 262 of them. So we've come a long way, and we've still got a long way to go. So before we begin, let me show you ways you can support the channel. The first three keep you in the know: subscribe, like, and notify. The next three are ways to help the channel grow. We have Coffee, Patreon. We also have the PayPal button on my Have Roots Will Travel website. And we have the Super Thanks that is part of the YouTube channel. All of that helps me and helps the channel grow. Thank you so much to all of you who have participated thus far. So let's get started, shall we? Let's talk about Les Filles à Marier, the marriageable girls. Look at those dates, 1634 to 1662. These were incredible women. They came when there wasn't even a country. There was just really a lot of land. And those who came in the 1630s truly are the bravest of the brave. But what happened was there was only about 262 of them, and so it averaged out over a 28-year cycle to about 10 a year, and that wasn't enough to populate a country. So les filles à marier were replaced by a government program where the gals were given money and all of that. Les filles à marier were not given any kind of gift. They were their passage usually was paid by someone. But it wasn't, and they didn't come in groups of 100. They came in groups, sometimes not at all, one, and sometimes they came two or three, that sort of thing. And they certainly were independent and very, very brave. So we want to honor les filles à marier because these are truly the founding grandmothers of Quebec and also of North America to some degree, because their lineages go all the way into all different places. So les filles à marier truly were astonishing in terms of what they did. Despite the fact they couldn't populate it fast enough for the king, they certainly contributed extraordinary amounts of time and love and energy. So we are grateful for their participation and for the fact they were brave enough to take that ticket and get on that boat. So let's explore one of these extraordinary women. This episode, number 71, is a beautifully named Jeanne Angelique Briere. Let's get to know Jeanne a little bit better. Now, she comes to us from a viewer request, and I did not have her in any of my files. So let's have a look and get to know Jeanne a little bit better. Jeanne was born in 1640 in Paris, France. Her parents were Adrien Briere and Marguerite de la Varenne. Her church that she was being baptized in was called Saint-Sauveur, and it no longer exists, but it could date its existence back to the 12th century, was rebuilt in the 16th, and finally demolished in 1787 with the hope of rebuilding it. But a little thing like the French Revolution interfered with this plan. All we have of it is a plaque that is on the street of corner of Saint-Sauveur and Saint-Denis in Paris. And this is an artist illustration of l'Église Saint-Sauveur. And you can see that she is part of the 2e arrondissement. It's also known as La Bourse, or the wallet. This arrondissement is located on the right bank of the River Seine. The 2nd arrondissement is the one that focuses, naturally, on business activities. There are several banking headquarters that are found here, as well as the former Paris Bourse, hence the name. The Paris Opera, the Sentier district, which is the textile district, and the second is home to the Grand Rex, which, for whatever reason, is the largest movie theater in Paris, which I plan on seeing. I just want to see how big is this movie theater, right? Now, she was a widow when she came to New France. She had married a man named André Lontain, and she arrived in New France in 1661 with her 2-year-old boy, Jérôme. Now, the groom that she would select and who selected her, he was already there in Quebec. born and bred there. His parents were Louis Sedilou and Hélène Desportes. Hélène, it was the first child born in New France. And she comes from a very, very distinguished family as well. And so does Louis Sedilou. So Adrien was truly a product of New France and was obviously knew his way around. So in a way, she was very blessed to marry into such a family. Now, Jeanne Angelique would bring with her 300-pound dowry, and they were married on September 22nd, 1661. Now, they did settle down in Quebec City, which is natural, given the fact that Adrien is from there. And let's review a little bit. It is the capital city of the province of Quebec. 500,000 people live directly in Quebec City. And Quebec was originally named by the Algonquins, who named the area Quebec, K-E-B-E-C, which in their native language meant where the river narrows. Quebec City lies where the St. Lawrence River narrows. Samuel de Champlain founded a French settlement here in 1608 and called it Ville de Québec, or Quebec City. The city walls that which surround it date back to this time period and are still present today, making Quebec City the only city with remaining city walls in North America. There's so much to see in Quebec City, but I wanted to just kind of focus in on two things that might have existed around the time that they were building their lives, Adrien and Jeanne. And this house here, Maison Jacquette, it is the oldest surviving private residence in Quebec. It dates from 1675. And if you'd like to tour it, it is actually home to a famous restaurant called Aux Anciens Canadiens, to our old Canadians or our historic Canadians. And this bottom is Le Petit Champlain, which is said to be the oldest commercial district in North America. Now we see in the 1666 census, we have Adrien and Jeanne. And Jérôme, they're calling him an orphan, which is very interesting. I suppose he is an orphan on one side, but his mom is right there. So Adrien is in the 1667, and Angelique is there, and we are not seeing Jérôme. And we do not see Jérôme with the family after this. So let's have a look at what occurs, because they did not. Adrien and Jeanne would not have any children of their own. So the only son that came from this lady is Jérôme, and he was born in 1658 in France, and he would pass away in 1723. Now, normally I feature all the children they have and that sort of thing. Let's have a look at what this one son created. I wanted to show you what one man can do. He first married Marie-Catherine Marie de Sainte-Marie, and he would have 5 children with her. And then he would marry Marie-Louise Dumas, and he would have 7 children with her. Let's have a look. Catherine would marry Joseph Fleury and have 2 children, both of whom made it to adulthood. André married Marguerite Caillé and had 5 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. Michel would marry Catherine Charlotte Bertrand and have 6 children, all of whom would make it to adulthood. René would marry Marie Tétu and have 1 child who made it to adulthood. François would marry Jeanne Lemieux and have 3 children, all of whom would make it to adulthood. Now, his next wife produced Marie-Louise, who married Raymond François and would have 4 children, all of whom would make it. Gabrielle, who married Marguerite Denegy and would have 3 children, all of whom would make it. Angelique would marry her brother-in-law, Laurent Denegy, and have 5 children, all of whom would make it. Anne would marry Pierre Laporte and have 1 child who made it. Antoine would marry Joseph Gervais and had 2 children, all of whom would make it. Catherine would marry Jean-Baptiste Giroux and have 11 children, 9 of whom would make it. François married Marie Amable Gervais and would have 1 child who made it to adulthood. What is unique about this is the fact that all of his children produced children. Now, by the time I believe there were 41 grandchildren. I counted them. So there were 41 grandchildren. So this is a remarkable, remarkable achievement. And it gives you some idea of the strength of that bloodline. because normally in this amount of children, there should have been at least one or two, and perhaps there were, but certainly none that I can see. But his children produced children, so that was amazing. So I wanted to show you it's not where you start, it's where you finish. So this is what Jeanne Angelique gave to the world, is that one son, and that was all that was needed to continue her descendancy. Now, Jeanne Angelique would die at the age of 71. She and Adrienne would have been married 3 months shy of 50 years. She would leave through her one son, Adrien, 46 descendants as of 1729. Adrien would be buried with his parents at Notre Dame a few years later at 75 years of age. Wasn't she amazing? I mean, can you imagine? She brings her one son here, and this accounts for all of the descendants of this particular line. So I am just in awe of the fact this woman brought her son here and, married into a very, very prominent family and was able to, continue. And even though they didn't actually have any children of their own, obviously they contributed a tremendous amount to New France and to the population of Quebec, and on and on and on it goes. So I love these stories where these ladies come, they're widowed in France and they bring a child. And obviously, Adrienne took her child and was able to take care of her. And I just love that kind of a story. So thank you to her, Jeanne Angelique, for your bravery, for your courage, for bringing your one son who continued on in New France. So we are extremely grateful for your contribution and your sacrifice. And I also want to say thank you to my patrons, supporters, and subscribers. All of you are amazing. Thank you so much for all that you have done in the past and all continue to do. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And with that being said, I will see you on the next episode of Les Filles à Marier. Until then, au revoir.